This is a new Chinese tank, the ZTZ-100, seen somewhere near a factory in Baotou.
On September 3, 2025, 22 tanks rolled in formation down Chang'an Avenue in Beijing. To the casual viewer, they looked like just another column of military hardware. But to the defense analysts watching satellite feeds in Washington, Berlin, Tokyo, and Taipei, those vehicles meant something else entirely. The turrets were too small. The exhaust signatures were too quiet. The radar panels mounted to the turret cheeks did not exist on any tank previously fielded by any nation. And in that moment, every main battle tank operated by the United States Army, the German Bundeswehr, the British Army, the Israeli Defense Force, and every other NATO member just became one generation old. China had unveiled the Type 100, the world's first verifiable, fielded, fourth-generation main battle tank. The tank has a name, the Type 100, or informal People's Liberation Army nomenclature, the ZTZ-100, manufactured by China North Industries Group Corporation, Norinco, and assembled at the Baotou tank plant in Inner Mongolia. State media called it the first indigenous fourth-generation tank, formally retiring the third-generation classifications of the past. Domestic Chinese military bloggers gave it a different name, the Hexagonal Warrior, six-sided dominance, land, air, electromagnetic, cyber, space, cognitive. The new platform was positioned as the centerpiece of a combined arms formation officially called the King of Land Warfare. 22 of these vehicles rolled in arrow formation past the reviewing stand, where President Xi Jinping stood beside Russian President Vladimir Putin and North Korean leader Kim Jong-un. After a few hours of public spectacle, the Type 100 vanished, back into the closed-door development cycle. The world got nothing more, until May 3, 2026. On May 3, 2026, timed to coincide with China's National Youth Day, the Xinhua State News Agency released high-resolution field training footage of the Type 100 maneuvering aggressively in a dusty northern Chinese training ground. The footage offered the global intelligence community the first verified glimpse into the hull-based crew compartment. It confirmed active operational deployment status. The Type 100 is no longer a parade prototype. It is a fielded weapon. The first thing analysts noticed is what is missing. Western main battle tanks like the M1 Abrams and the Leopard 2A8 tip the scales at 65 to 70 metric tons. The Type 100 weighs between 35 and 45 tons, almost half. Norinco has stripped roughly 30 tons of passive armor from the platform. The main gun is a 105mm smoothbore, smaller than the 120mm on the Abrams, smaller than the 125mm on Russian peers. On paper, this looked like a regression. On the battlefield, it is not. Chinese metallurgists have engineered armor-piercing fin-stabilized discarding sabot rounds that achieve a muzzle velocity of 1,706 meters per second. At those velocities, kinetic energy delivered to target matches anything the heavier guns can produce. By choosing the lighter gun, Norinco drastically reduced turret mass, increased ammunition capacity, and engineered an autoloader that fires 8 to 12 rounds per minute. The crew complement is 3. There is no human loader. The turret is unmanned. Here is where the engineering philosophy of the Type 100 breaks with 80 years of armored warfare doctrine. Western tanks are designed around what engineers call the survivability onion. Layers of passive armor absorb hits. The Type 100 inverts that principle. Heavy armor is the absolute last resort. The primary shield is detection and interception. 4 diagonal active electronically scanned array radar panels are integrated flush into the turret geometry, providing overlapping 360-degree coverage. They cue a hard-kill active protection system called the GL6. 8 kinetic interceptors per launcher, mathematically precise interception coverage designed to defeat high-angle, plunging top-attack threats from loitering munitions and anti-tank guided missiles. Jérôme Braille, defense analyst at Army Recognition, described the philosophy in clinical terms. Quote, "The design prioritizes survivability through detection and interception. The Type 100 does not absorb hits. It refuses to be hit at all." The 3 crew members do not sit in the turret. They sit in a heavily armored forward hull capsule, physically separated by steel and composite from the entire ammunition stowage. If a kinetic round penetrates the unmanned turret and detonates the ammunition, blowout panels vent the explosion outward and upward. The vehicle may be rendered immobile, but the trained, irreplaceable crew survives. This is the Russian T-14 Armata principle, executed with infrastructure that Russia could never deliver. The T-14 has been relegated to ceremonial parade duty, conspicuously absent from frontline combat in Ukraine. The Type 100 is the tank the Armata was supposed to be. The 1,500 horsepower hybrid diesel-electric propulsion system is what gave the platform away during the September parade. Engineers noticed the Type 100 produced almost no exhaust plume, not the black diesel smoke of a Russian T-90, not the heat distortion of an Abrams gas turbine, almost nothing. That was the first visual confirmation of a capability that changes how the tank fights. By shutting down the diesel generator and running purely on the electric battery bank, the Type 100 enters silent watch. The acoustic footprint drops to near zero. The thermal signature collapses. The vehicle becomes practically invisible to enemy thermal optics. And then, on demand, the electric torque enables violent, immediate acceleration, allowing the tank to reposition before counter-battery fire arrives. The hybrid system also solves the oxygen starvation problem that has plagued every diesel tank operating on the Tibetan Plateau. At elevations exceeding 4,800 meters, conventional diesel engines suffocate. Battery torque does not. And the massive onboard electrical generation feeds the AESA radars, the active protection system, and the electronic warfare jammers without over-revving the engine. The crew does not look through bulletproof glass slits. They wear augmented reality helmets with seamless head tracking. The onboard artificial intelligence engine fuses raw satellite imagery, real-time drone video, and headquarters telemetry, projecting a coherent three-dimensional visualization of the battlefield directly into the commander's retinas. The crew effectively looks through the solid steel armor of their own tank in 360 degrees. By offloading target prioritization and route planning to the AI, the human cognitive loop, what military theorists call the OODA loop, compresses by an estimated 20 to 40%. The Type 100 sees first, processes first, shoots first. And it does this not just with its own sensors, it is natively networked to off-board drones, the KVD-002 intelligence drone, the Wingloong 10, a high-altitude unmanned aerial vehicle. The tank pushes its sensor perimeter kilometers beyond visual range. Roderick Lee, at the United States Air Force China Aerospace Studies Institute, described this network-centric architecture in 3 words. Quote, "A game changer." So is this really a 4th-generation main battle tank, or marketing language? The analyst consensus is firm. There are 5 criteria for 4th-generation classification, established by analysts at the Center for Strategic and International Studies, the Royal United Services Institute, JANES, and the International Institute for Strategic Studies. 1. Lighter weight class, in the 40 to 50-ton band. 2. Hybrid electric propulsion. 3. Unmanned turret with the crew sealed in a hull citadel. 4. Active protection integrated natively into the design. 5. Artificial intelligence and drone integration. The Type 100 maps to all 5 criteria, without exception. The M1 Abrams, the Leopard 2A8, and the Challenger 3 map to none of them. The Russian T-14 Armata, on paper, maps to 3. In reality, it does not exist at scale, which leaves exactly 1 fielded 4th-generation main battle tank in the world right now. And it is parked in a Chinese training ground. There is one more piece of context that explains why the Type 100 exists in the form it does. The grueling Russia-Ukraine war from 2022 through 2025 proved on camera that the standalone main battle tank was facing an existential crisis. Top attack munitions, ranging from sophisticated Bayraktar drones to American Switchblades, down to $500 commercial racing drones strapped with rocket-propelled grenade warheads, decimated traditional armor across both sides. Brandon Weichert, national security analyst, has argued that the war in Ukraine effectively ended the era of the standalone tank as a viable warfighting platform. The Type 100 is engineered backward from this reality. It does not try to build a thicker box of armor to absorb drone strikes. It refuses to be a victim. The GL6 active protection system, cued by the upward-looking AESA arrays, intercepts plunging top attack threats milliseconds before impact. The Type 100 has transitioned the main battle tank from passive victim to active networked drone hunter. Here is the honest reality check. As of May 2026, the Baotou tank plant is operating in low-rate initial production. Verified footage confirms slightly more than 4 to about a dozen Type 100s in active daily training. The estimated unit cost during this phase is between $4.5 million and $7.5 million US dollars. Norinco anticipates costs dropping to $3.5 to $6 million as domestic high-volume manufacturing scales. Intelligence analysts project an inventory of 150 to 200 operational vehicles by 2028, scaling to over 500 by 2030. The Western response has been swift and, frankly, panicked. The United States Army canceled further incremental Abrams SEPV-4 upgrades and radically accelerated the next-generation M1E3 program. Once slated for a rollout in the late 2030s, the M1E3 is now being fast-tracked for testing by 2027. The target profile is essentially a copy of the Type 100's homework: lighter, hybrid electric, native active protection. In Europe, the German Bundeswehr scrambled to backfill Leopard donations to Ukraine, while political pressure mounted to expedite the KF-51 Panther program. In Taiwan, the Republic of China Army is now operating a tank that is technologically a generation behind the platform across the strait. Nicholas Drummond, former British Army officer and defense industry consultant, has been the most measured voice in this conversation. Quote, "We need incremental improvements that together make the overall package more lethal." So where does this leave us? A tank that weighs almost half what its Western peers weigh, that sees through its own armor in 360 degrees, that intercepts incoming threats milliseconds before impact, that commands drones beyond visual range, that goes silent on demand, that survives top attack munitions, that fires kinetic rounds matching the heaviest Western guns, that costs a fraction of what Western fourth-generation prototypes are projected to cost, and that is being mass-produced today in Inner Mongolia. The age of the unchallenged Western main battle tank is closing, not because Western armor failed, but because the architecture itself, the 70-ton composite armor design philosophy that defined the M1 Abrams in 1980 and the Leopard 2 in 1979, became one generation old in a single afternoon on Chang'an Avenue. The transparent battlefield, saturated with drones and sensors and networked targeting, has rewritten the rules of armored combat. China engineered backward from this reality and fielded the answer. As Brandon Weichert put it, the next major ground war will be, quote, "decided by whose tanks see, process, and kill first." And by every honest engineering metric in May 2026, the answer is no longer the United States Army.